Welcome back to episode 21 of the Brand Fan Show. If you thought we were done after hitting 20, no, no, no. I am your host, Lauren Teague, and do I have a very sweet surprise for you today? My guest is someone who actually showed up in my own LinkedIn newsfeed a couple months ago. I kid you not. This was a pure word of mouth recommendation turned podcast guest. I saw this from a fellow B2B marketer. And when I dove a little deeper into the story of Grove Cookie Company, a business that is actually just about 30 minutes from my own house as I record this right now, I thought, here this is. It's exactly the brand to fan approach as a real life B2B company. And as you've listened to this podcast, you know, we have talked to authors and experts and influencers and people around business, but I think that for the first time, we're getting someone who's really built their business through fandom, which is super exciting. So today on the Brand of Fan Show, we are going to explore what it's like to bake up success through one delicious cookie at a time. Grove Cookie Company has taken the baking business to a whole new level of sprinkle and delight by understanding the impact of word of mouth, of relationships, and building trust and advocacy for their customers and for their partners. Without further ado, let me welcome Grayson Hogard, the co-founder of Grove Cookie Company, to the pod. Thanks for being here.
Thanks, Lauren. It's awesome to be here, and thanks for having me on.
Absolutely. As a fellow Oregonian and entrepreneur, I think we have so many ways that we can talk about what it's like to kind of build this business. But I want to start back when baking for you and your wife was just a hobby. It was kind of a side hustle. Tell me how that grew into a legitimate business opportunity.
Yeah. So in 2020, my wife was working from home, and just happened to have more time on her hands just from working from home. And it really was as simple as she wanted like a side project hustle, something just to kind of pass time by. I was traveling still throughout 2020 in a role that just required me to be gone for the whole week, right? So yeah, she started with cupcakes, moved on to cookies. I had these cookies, same ones we have today, the Oreo. And yeah, I immediately fell in love with them. But it's funny because we don't come from an entrepreneurial background or like really anyone there like start a business, do this, right? Mm-hmm. We're just both corporate W-2 employees. Yeah, so the holidays roll around. I'm kind of talking about them to my friends and our families, and they love the cookies. So then holidays passed, and now we're into January of 2021. And my wife was like, I want to try and sell these. And I don't have a sales or marketing background, and I've always thought it'd be kind of fun to start something like that. Something very simple, right? There's no capital invest, it's just our kitchen and our house, right? And so yeah, she suggested that, and I was like, let's do it. So over the weekend, I got the LLC, EIN number, bank accounts, just like all those things in my mind. I was like, I don't want to have to go back and figure all this stuff out. So I was like, let's just get it all done first. And so yeah, January of 2021, at the end of January 31st, we launched. And yeah, that's it. My wife's not a baker. I'm not a baker. Cookies, we just both love cookies, and these are just extraordinarily soft and delicious. Yeah, the B2B space was really interesting, but I'll hold off to get to that.
It's funny. Most of us probably, did our sourdough,
right?
During pandemic, and maybe some people, I know a good friend of mine evolved like his sourdough mixer to making bread 2 or 3 times a week, or, but definitely didn't have that mindset of like, what I could do? I could bake bread for everybody.
Yeah.
And I certainly, my poor sourdough starter lasted maybe a few months in the pandemic because we had time to put attention to it. But watching businesses be created out of having extra time, having time to pursue something that was just interesting. Like you said, I mean, you don't consider yourselves entrepreneurs, you don't consider yourself sales and marketing people, and you don't consider yourselves bakers, yet now you've built a business where you're actually required to kind of be all of those pieces.
Yeah. I mean, you're exactly right. And it's just, you just kind of start, didn't have the mindset of like, oh, we're going to expand this and we're going to, make this what it is today. Yeah, it was just, let's try and have fun. I just felt like I was being a supportive husband and just helping my wife, yeah, that's really what it boiled down to in its infancy, for sure.
Okay, so walk me through. You're starting to bake cookies, but it's still out of your kitchen.
Yep.
And you're fulfilling orders. Are they local? Are you going to like prepping for farmers markets? Where was kind of the first batch of customers coming from?
Yeah, my mom was our first order, like through our online ordering site. It was just a really rough website build that I did, that I put together. I didn't use Shopify or Square at the time, but yeah, we were just having people reach out. It was just like email orders through either Instagram or just if they knew me. So it was more family and friends. But within those first 3 weeks of launching, we were introduced to the world of B2B gifting, specifically in the financial advisory, client gifting space, right? Touchpoint marketing. And my good buddy's dad has a wealth advisory practice in Lake Oswego. They loved the cookies when we brought them over to their house. We weren't trying to sell them or anything, but they're just big on touch points. And so they were like, hey, can you ship these cookies? And my background's in logistics, warehousing. And I was like, I mean, we could try and ship them the cookies. And they're like, great, these are fantastic. They didn't break. We'd like to start using these for our client birthdays. And so from there, we just like, whoa, that's pretty darn sweet. Like, now you have a lot of clients that you have to fulfill for client birthdays. You immediately have at least an idea of how many orders are going to be coming in on a weekly or monthly basis. And so that like piqued our interest into the B2B gifting space. For the first 6 months, we were still kind of just Instagram and just fulfilling the orders from my buddy's dad's wealth advisory practice. And then that kind of changed after 6 months, around the June timeframe. I just kind of started listening to podcasts, and my friends were just kind of encouraging me like, hey, you should try and cold call other wealth advisory practices and see if maybe they do client gifting, because, they're really, everyone does the same thing, right? It's cards, chocolates, flowers. I mean, just learning that, I was like, yeah, why not? So yeah, we had our second client, like in a week of like just offering our services. And so that really got the ball rolling. Then I hopped on LinkedIn, listening to a podcast. They're like, if you're trying to do B2B anything, you should be on LinkedIn. Hopped on LinkedIn, tried to, figure that out. And yeah, I mean, that was how we hit the ground running from there. So then at that point, we're picking up clients as I'm cold calling more, LinkedIn connections, kind of just like that.
And you're still doing this out of your home?
Yeah, I mean, we're still out of our house. Yeah. So like, it was just like picking up, nothing crazy, like 10 orders a week type of deal. And then we got to the holidays of 2021, and that's where we were like, this is kind of crazy and potentially a really cool business idea, because we got an order for 300 half dozen boxes of cookies for a holiday order from a wealth advisory practice. And yeah, it just, from that point on, I kept telling Marie, my wife, that, all this money we made in 2021, we would just go on a vacation with it. Well, after that experience over the holidays, it was like, wait, we might need this money if we need to move our operation out of the house, as like for equipment, lease improvements, right? So it kind of changed our mindset after that experience of the holidays, and like, you're like, whoa, this is legit. And yeah, so it changed moving into 2022, along with our exposure into the SaaS world of prospect gifting and also their form of client gifting, which was a lot faster than the financial advisory practices. So,
Absolutely.
yeah, so that was huge. Right there.
What was it like? What was the feedback like in those early customers? That was like, oh, the cookies didn't break, but were you starting to find the differentiation of what a cookie delivery to, a client looked like versus some of the other things that they had tried? Were you getting that feedback and taking notice of it?
Yeah, we were like kind of molded in that way. So like wealth advisors, financial advisors are very, they offer great feedback, and they were critiquing us and all this stuff, but it was just all great information that we were receiving. And that's really what spurred the idea of our custom gift messages. Have I sent you a box of cookies yet?
Not yet, but I don't mind having to even come and pick them up.
Yeah. We include a custom gift message with like the company's logo. So like if it's like a Raymond James Financial Services, it'll have the Raymond James logo with the gift message. Typically what you get when you order gifts is a gift message on a packing slip, right?
Yeah.
It's in like Arial font, size 4. You can barely read it. It's under the to and from. Yeah, it's kind of nonsense. But so that's how we were kind of molded by the feedback we were getting, right? So, we want more of an elevated presence when we're sending them to our clients, because their clients, whatever, have money or however they're trying to impress them. Mm-hmm. And so that was just really great feedback. We were able to like fine tune what we were presenting, as well as learn like, oh wow, baking cookies out of the house isn't as great as like now we have like a commercial oven and all that stuff. And you just get feedback, and all feedback's good feedback in my opinion. And it's just a matter of what you do with it.
Yeah. It's so fun to think about, that transformation as the end user. And I think it's fascinating about being in the B2B gifting space is actually the people who receive the cookies aren't the ones that buy them, but they likely become customers down the line if you do that initial touch point really well. How have you kind of built that into your process where are you able to kind of convert some of those eaters who are the recipients of the cookies back into, and are you doing other marketing to them? Are you reaching them in a different way once they receive the cookie?
It depends who they are. Like if it's like a B2C type of, right? So like a wealth advisor sending their clients cookies, I'm not going to call their clients or try and market to them. What is really fun is actually marketing to the B2B gifting, right? So one company sends cookies to another company, right? I mean, we're on LinkedIn. I easily can go find those people and, hey, how are the cookies? I'm Grayson from Grove Cookie Company, blah, 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 blah. It's just common practice in the B2B space to do that. Like it'd be really weird if you did that B2C style, right? So there's ways of kind of continuing the conversation with new people that have had our cookies. But we're a little busy just from this point. Like it's hard to set aside time to do all that. As we get bigger and we have like a legitimate marketing team, that's definitely something they could do, and it would be a fantastic continuing system that we have, just building more brand awareness in that aspect. But it's fun. It's fun kind of following the path of a cookie and getting feedback.
Yeah, you said that you didn't know a whole lot. You didn't consider yourself a marketer when you started, but what is maybe one of the key things that you've learned in the last 18 months about, that process and where you've kind of taken the biggest leap to say, oh, I get this now, or I understand why this is the most important part?
My favorite thing and like most important thing I ever did when it comes to marketing is like start listening to podcasts about B2B marketing.
Okay.
Sounds so simple, and it literally is that simple as long as you find the good podcasts. I mean, it's not hard, but I started listening to a guy named Chris Walker. He has a B2B like marketing agency called Refine Labs, and I don't know, he just was putting out really good content that was like broken down into like 4th grade education style. Like he just breaks it down so well. And I started listening to him in 2022, and that's when our marketing started changing. And we actually started becoming more of a marketing front than like me cold calling people, and developing the idea. You start hearing the terminology, just all these marketing terms that kind of started making sense as I was like doing what I was doing on LinkedIn, if that makes sense. So, like really trying to find where new business is coming from. Also, curtailing our like our not ad copy, but my LinkedIn like promotional strategy, right? How long have you been following me?
I've been following you probably for 2 or 3 months.
Okay. Yeah. So, just honing in on that, because at first when I started, I was kind of just all over the place. But honing in on what we are, we're a client and prospect gifting relationship enhancing company. Like that's it. And, you continue to drive that point home. You actually create a brand that is known for something. We're not just cookies. Cookies can only go so far if that's all we are. But if you're promoting someone that actually enhances client and prospect relationships, your ceiling, I don't think you really have a ceiling, because every business is looking for new prospects and new clients. So there you go. It's just about driving that home. And those are my biggest takeaways from just learning that over the last year and 4 months.
You can see that. You can see it on your website, because right front and center it says, we're enhancing your relationships one cookie at a time. You really have that clear messaging of what the problem is that you are solving. And yeah, you're doing it as, cookies as a service, which I think is a phenomenal hashtag and tagline as well. But when you put enhancing your relationships right front and center, it's a no-brainer, right? That you could be doing cookies, you could be doing something else, but that repositioning in your mind and that crystallizing of what are we really here for, right? We're not fulfilling friend and family orders and graduation parties and farmers markets anymore.
Yeah.
And that is a huge differentiation between you and every other like side hustle home bake. So when that clicked for you, did you and your wife just have like this like aha moment, or was it more of a gradual thing?
Well, we've had a business coach for the last since November of 2021. So that's been huge. I can't recommend that enough. Listen to podcasts, get a business coach. Because you're implementing the foundational processes you need to actually do something, in my mind, that's worthwhile. You just need systems in a business anyway, and understanding the processes and being kind of having that constant reminder every month, because we meet every 2 weeks, of what we're doing, crystallize kind of like our business plan, what we were doing, finding kind of that niche, because that's what we are. We're in a true niche of prospect client gifting, and kind of our own creativity on top of that. So
awesome. What is the importance of then like creating these really strong relationships across the B2B gifting industry? Because I know you're working with the platforms.
Yeah.
So you have to have that partnership. Then you are still selling to the individual, like the HubSpots and the wealth management firms of the world, to say like, hey, find us on these platforms that we're partnered with. And then you're still kind of maybe putting in like like when you eat the cookie, like hashtag us if you like it, kind of on that piece of it. So you've got to build very strong relationship touch points with very distinct audiences who need different things from you. How do you balance that?
Well, being on the platforms, the B2B gifting platforms, I'm not sure how many people are aware of them, but yeah, these large enterprises have gifting platforms where they're able to send gifts of any size, anything you can think of, from books to gift cards to cookies to really expensive things. Just with the click of a button in Salesforce or HubSpot. And it's an interesting like partnership that we are fortunate to be a part of, from the simple fact that it broadens our demand base for sure, and then it allows us to establish. I'm trying to like figure out establish just more relationships for our own company, right? Because a lot of people outside of using their enterprise gifting platforms do a lot of one-on-one gifting with their just family and friends or whatever. So we've been able to kind of see that kind of nurture in itself. But the B2B gifting platforms have just been huge from the people they have working there. We're able to communicate with them, help them out, right? And really form a unique vendor platform partnership. Whereas, if we were to hop on like an Etsy, we're just a dime a dozen cookie company. When you're on a platform like an enterprise gifting solution, I mean, you're there as a vendor to accomplish a mission, and that is to satisfy their clients. So it's just like a really cool scenario we find ourselves in, but it just further cements our mission, which is literally not just to sell cookies, it's to move revenue forward. And that's what touchpoints do, and that's what enhancing relationships do.
Yeah. As you scale, you talked about processes and systems a little bit ago with things that you learned from your business coach. But as you're scaling Grove Cookie Company, and I imagine you're fulfilling many, many, many more orders in 2023 than you have, and maybe you can speak to the numbers on that. But what are the processes you're building out internally that ensure both the quality of your cookie is really high, right? They don't suddenly break in the packages, but also like you're nailing that customer experience kind of on all those sides. What are you starting to work on? Because I know that probably hiring more people and hiring real marketing team and things like that is on your list for the year.
Yeah. One of the things I do quality assurance myself for the cookie.
That's the best job in a bakery.
It's great. But no, we have a good team. We have 4 bakers that know exactly what is expected. We have the processes laid out. I mean, it's cookies. It's not the world's most difficult product to produce. But it's constant fine tuning. I mean, it's just baking in general is a science, and ensuring that you're getting a consistent product out the door every single time is very important. One of the processes like we have coming up that we have to figure out how to scale is our gift messages. Like I mentioned earlier with the logo, it's outside of the packing slip. That's just a unique process that we have to figure out. But yeah, having a foundation, moving out of the house into the shop back in September of 2022 was huge, because on our second day, we received an order for 6,000 cookies shipped to 1,000 locations. And really without the very basic systems in place, it would have been very, 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 very tough to complete something like that.
Absolutely.
Yeah, we had one team member at that time, and we had friends and family helping us for 8 days straight as we tried to make as much dough as we could, and package it up, ship it out, custom notes, it was the test of all tests.
Absolutely. Yeah. The complexity of that, not just like, do we have enough eggs and butter to make the dough, but do we have enough boxes? Do we have enough note cards? Do we have enough like shipping tape? Like that's where I would imagine your background in logistics like really lit up and was like, okay, I might not know how to do this piece of it, but I can get things out the door if I have this many people.
Yeah, we ended up hiring like a virtual assistant in the Philippines to help with the gift messages, because the gift messages were all unique to the shipping label, with a custom name, custom email address from the sales development rep. Like it was like so complex, and it required a lot of effort. But anyways, point being is without the systems, at least the foundational ones, that would have been very hard to even hand off to a virtual assistant, if you can imagine that. Someone in the Philippines that hasn't seen our software, blah, 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 blah. thankful for Looms and Trainual, which is the software we use. So
neat. It's so important then to have that, like you're saying, the foundation and building upon that to say, okay, we know that these touch points we only get one shot at it, with this person, we only get one shot. So we have to get it right. The relationship, the touch point, the building of the trust, because if we can nail this, like, it's here for us. So that's incredible. That 6,000 cookies 2 days after you got thank goodness you had your bakery space.
I know. Yeah. We were like, oh man. So we have a 60 quart mixer, and we were like, we'll just break that in like 2 or 3 weeks. We were like a little scared of it, just because it's so much bigger. We were worried about how the cookies would, turn out, blah, blah, blah. And, everything was great. It was just, I remember our one team member at the time shows up and, all right, well, we sort of trained you, here's your butter and sugars. You're just going to need to help us out here and start making a big batch. And so, yeah, it's just, it's really interesting how that all worked out, and it did. So
cool. Talk a little bit about, you mentioned LinkedIn earlier and how you've kind of built this presence. I'm really curious about how that has been instrumental in both that connecting with current and potential clients, and how that business growth, like, did you see the hockey stick once you were there on LinkedIn? Did you see that effect?
It's hard. We sell a product that's like very intimate, and like you've made point of, we're sending to people's clients or prospects. And so, you mess that up, you hurt someone's revenue stream. You're right. There's just a lot of things. So the hockey stick growth really was a culmination of our partnerships with the B2B gifting platforms. So in 2022, April, we got on our first one called Postal. And then we were, after we got on that one, we kind of saw the uptick in orders. I was like, oh my gosh, I need to get on all of them. So I remember applying on their vendor portals, and, I was denied because, well, we're a nobody. But you make enough noise on LinkedIn, people start coming to you because, like you said, you saw us through probably someone else interacting with our content. Yeah. So very thankful for just like our whole sampling marketing campaign. So we send samples, right? And people just love to post cookies. Sorry, weed whacker. People just started posting our cookies back in 2022 as we were sending out the samples and talking about how, there's this new vendor on Postal and they send these cookies and they're fantastic. I'm going to start sending them to my prospects and clients. Basically, that got the attention of a company called Sendoso, which is like one of the bigger ones of the B2B gifting platforms. And so we hopped on Sendoso, and then Alice, and then Reach Desk, and then this most recent one called Zest. And so now we're on 5. But that all happened in less than a year, which does not happen for just Joe Schmo cookie company or anyone that is just signs up, right? Like, you have to really, the community effort in that, without us knowing about it or really with the intention, created really the hockey stick growth that we see today. And that just goes back to community and community-led growth, or people-led growth, or cookie-led growth. There's all sorts of goofy things people ping me on, but it's just a unique situation that we're in, and thankful for LinkedIn, because we didn't go onto LinkedIn and go, all right, we're gonna just motivate all these people to post cookies about us. Like, we don't ever have never asked anyone to post photos of our cookies. All I ever ask is, hey, just provide me some feedback and make sure they didn't break. You know how things can happen in the mail. I want to know about them first so I can remedy it, especially if they're free cookies. It's better than a paying customer having their gift, go downhill. I don't know how to explain that, but yeah.
Yeah, no, I get it. Talk me through the different touch points that you have designed in that. So you mentioned you're doing gifting samples, which, again, really important, because the person who's buying this for their clients aren't necessarily like, I think the cookie's good. I mean, it's here on the site, right? a portion of those people want to taste and do some of that QA themselves. So from the very first piece or bite, where are you designing touch points that work for your partners, that work for the leads down the whole like kind of experience journey with you?
Yeah, like from like us personally at Grove Cookie Company. Geez. Well, I correct me if I'm not answering this right, please. But I mean, really, it's all about outreach. I mean, that's how we're cultivating it, right? And that's how the whole sample thing started, because I don't have a sales background, and so a little insecure, unsure of myself. I thought, well, if I lead the conversation with, hey, you know, I'd love to send you a sample box of cookies, it would hopefully make that second follow-up call, if they agreed to it, a little bit easier. In the sense that, you know, they tried the cookies and they're either going to like them and they view them as a possible gift to their client or prospects, or they don't. So I hope I answered that correctly, but that's it's as simple as that. I mean, I'm dealing with a product that I don't need to educate people on. I need to let them know they're soft and delicious. And we already do that by sending them a sample. From there, you know, there's no hard sell. There's no multi-weaving, trying to figure out, you know, their issues. It's like, people know what a cookie is. They either can see the vision of it and they're looking for a different differentiator than the gift card. I mean, that's our arch nemesis, the $25 Starbucks gift card, because it means nothing and it's a giant racket. I mean, there's a bunch of fun stories about the Starbucks gift card scheme, but I won't go into that. It's just interesting, and people gravitate towards that, and they love the banter, because I just did it, that I do on phone calls or, you know, in LinkedIn messages. So it's just it's fun. Cookies are fun. They spread joy. They're consumable, and you get engagement out of it, because most of the time people will tell you thank you and, you know, even give you a shout out. So
nobody doesn't want cookies to show up at their doorstep. Like, I'm gluten-free, and if you send cookies, I'm still going to be psyched, and then I will give them to my kids, who will be more than psyched. So
that's such a funny thing. I've seen many posts about our cookies. Someone gifted cookies to them. They're gluten-free, but their kids loved them, and they didn't have to get dessert for the night, or the kids were like happy for the night, or what, you know, whatever the case may be. They're just a utility type of gift that can solve a lot of problems, whereas a gift card, you know, it's lost in the inbox anyways. So
very true. It's so true.
I have tons of them that I have not redeemed, and I'm guilty.
Yeah, so. No, it wasn't long ago that my husband and I were like going for a date night, and we compiled all of our Visa gift cards from like various holidays and gifts and we actually like had a really good night out, because we're like, we're gonna do all of this at once, right? Because like they had been piling up for years. That was a pretty good date night, but I couldn't individually tell you who all of those were from.
Right.
Tell me who coined cookies as a service, and how that came to you, and how you guys are using that as kind of a tagline. I see it as a hashtag, and I see it as things.
Yeah. It was a LinkedIn post I did. We had just gotten a new tool on our website that allows for gifting, which you'll experience here shortly. Is I don't need your address to send you gifts. So I send you a link, and you enter you either accept the gift or deny it. But once you accept it, you put in your mailing address, and then it gets routed back to our Shopify store and gets sent for fulfillment, right? So we got that tool. It's powered by a company called Zest, and it's on our store. We got that back in February, and that's where this kind of like crazy Grove Cookie Company extravaganza happened. Like, you want to talk about a hockey stick and just like growth of like fans and just people talking about us on LinkedIn. I mean, just the back end data I had was really interesting. But we got that tool, and it allowed me to send samples at a breakneck speed, because all the people, all the creators and the bigger content creators here on LinkedIn, I had been following for a long time, but it's really awkward to ask someone for their address.
Mm-hmm.
It's really cool when you can thank someone for all the content they post. A guy named Nick Bennett, there's a few, Darren McKee, there's just a few people, bigger LinkedIn peeps. And I was able just to send them a nice message. Hey, thank you so much for your content. Here's a gift link to your cookies. I'd love for you to try them. And they accept the gift, they put in their address, and it's all done. So there's no awkwardness, right? So that created cookies as a service, because now I have a SaaS tool at my disposal. And I just made a post about cookies as a service. I said, move over, software as a service. Cookies as a service is here, and it's more delicious. So that was February of this year, and it just stuck with us. And now there's cookie-led growth, cookie-based marketing. Oh gosh, yeah, all that fun stuff. And we're just riding with it, and half of marketing is having fun. I personally believe, because
I personally agree with that. Absolutely.
It's creative. Marketing is creative. And if you're not having fun, I don't know how you can be creative. I don't know how you can do it. I really don't. Some days I'm not feeling all too spunky, and my marketing reflects that.
Yeah. So, tell me a little bit about what the future holds for a Grove Cookie Company. You are a cookie company, but you are also, the relationship building, the revenue driving arm of these B2B companies. What are in your future sites? What are you looking forward to? And how does your customer relationships, how do you keep that at the forefront of the decisions you're going to make?
Yeah, that's just a fantastic question. Really, our number one goal for the end of time, as long as Grove Cookie Company is around, is to be the premier B2B gifting solution as far as cookies, right? And customer service is just that's where it all starts. A lot of our customers come in just through the storefront on the website, and that's great, but we get a lot of contact us and corporate requests and all that, and it's really just about making and ensuring the customer experience is always there, because people want a streamlined process, especially when you're talking bulk orders, 400 dozen, 200 dozen, 200, the numbers go up. They're only going to grow from here, right, as our capabilities expand. But ensuring that whole experience actually is enjoyable, because I've heard the nightmares of what bigger companies do right now, as far as the difficulty it is to place orders. Large orders, we try to simplify that in 4 emails or less. We even have tools now where you can just do it all on your own without even interacting with me. And so that's the growth plan. It's really as simple as make more cookies and continue making our current clients and future clients happy with the end result.
No, because when you deliver cookies as a service, that is making your client look like a hero, right?
Yeah. It's gifting can be especially large gifting can be quite the endeavor, but we as a company can strive to make it actually enjoyable, and the end result even more enjoyable, because it's really exciting for us to hear from our clients that they received an inbox full of thank yous. Oh my gosh, my clients, wrote me a handwritten note saying thank you for the cookies. All these firsts. Yeah, it's the power of a cookie is there. And just making the experience that much better for our clients is our number one goal forever. Yeah.
Forever and ever.
Yeah.
And ever. We've been playing a lot of Outcast on our Alexa, so that just
I
had to go there. That's fun. So I wanted to ask you, Grayson, the CEO and co-founder of Grove Cookie Company, there's 2 questions that we ask everybody on the Brand of Fan Show. One is, what are you a fan of today it can be in your own kitchen or something else that you've stumbled upon through the internet. What's something that you're really fanning for right now?
I mean, I fan over my entrepreneurial podcasts. I don't know if you listen to those, but you got the Andy Frisella's, Alex Hormozy. There's just so many of those podcasts. Those are the ones I really enjoy because the entrepreneurial journey is a mindset journey.
Mm-hmm.
I realize, because it's not all rainbows and unicorns. It's not easy. So that's my fandom right now is constantly learning from these people that are so very successful and freely sharing information that potentially could help me. So
cool. Well, maybe you'll add Brand to Fan Show to your podcast.
And there we go, Brand to Fan. There you go.
Okay, the second question we ask everybody: what is your favorite jersey or piece of fanwear that's either in your closet today or had a beloved place in your heart?
Man, selfishly, I think my favorite piece of fandom is my own marathon medals. Because I think it's just really cool. I still have them. I have them on the wall. I haven't ran a marathon in like 7 years, but looking at those and constantly reflecting on like the mindset as you're running 26.2 miles is really funny to like correlate to where I'm at now. We're like at mile 1 and we got a long way to go. And sorry, I don't have jerseys, so it's my own selfish.
No, it's a fabulous answer. I was thinking about that, and it ties really back into your previous answer of, entrepreneurship is a mindset, right? And so if you can equate it to something that you've, set out and did 26.2 miles, which good for you. I've only done 13.1 and not well. So, but to say like, okay, I understand that we're a few years in, and despite all the good things that have happened, like we're still much closer to the start line than we are the finish line of where this can go and where you're looking to take it. I think that speaks really well to just like where you are in this stage of being a founder, knowing that there's so much to learn, knowing that you don't have all the answers, and also being totally okay with that because you've reached a finish line before and that it's, that it's there somewhere.
Yeah. Yeah. Looking forward to the wall.
Well, I'm also hoping that you and Marie eventually got your vacation that you were saving for in 2021. And that's got to be part of that too, right? Is you got to also celebrate your successes that way.
Yeah, absolutely. So, yeah.
Cool. Well, let me jump into the TLDL minute. This is the part of the podcast where if it was too long and you didn't listen to the whole thing, stop right here. You'll get the whole recap of the pod in about a minute or so. My conversation with Grayson Hogard from Grove Cookie Company today started off. Grayson, you said that you and your wife, Marie, not actually marketers, not necessarily entrepreneurs, certainly not bakers when you got started, but you've built a business that actually requires you to be all of these things. And through the introduction to B2B gifting early on, you immediately gravitated towards this kind of touch point marketing and gifting, starting in the wealth management firms. And what was so great about that is that you were able to grow and evolve with instant customer feedback to really find your own differentiation path that allowed you to create a successful business in the B2B gifting space. I thought it was really smart that you called out the B2B podcast that you have listened to over the last few years to really learn about the things to fill the gaps and get a leg up for your business. And we talked a lot about your systems and processes that really allow you to create a foundation and some consistency in how Grove Cookie Company shows up for your customers and the recipients, because they aren't actually the same for your company. So I think one aha moment for me was that you said that oh, we weren't actually a cookie company. We're a prospect client gifting niche. And when you landed on that, it really helped accelerate your success and elevated by getting the presence on these B2B enterprise gifting platforms. And it was actually your LinkedIn community and the noise that you made on LinkedIn that actually allowed you to go from one platform to several of these B2B enterprise platforms. So the clients you had were the ones telling your story, which, as we know, all good fans do. They use the word of mouth to create new invitations for people to follow along. And you've got some really great processes in place for cookie sampling, cookies as a service on the gifting side of your website that makes everything more delicious and more easy for anyone to use to give cookies to someone they care about. So I hope Grayson and your wife Marie get to do this forever, keep relationships going strong. And I am excited to both try the cookies and become a customer of yours down the line. I'm certainly a fan of what you're doing in the business that you are growing.
Well, thank you, Lauren. And it was a pleasure being on. And I look forward to your feedback on the cookies.
Perfect. Well, that wraps this episode of the Brand Fan Show. My name is Lauren Teague, and he is Grayson Hogard. Go get yourself a cookie sample. Where can they? Where's the best place to point our listeners?
Yeah, our website, groveccookiecompany.com.
Super easy.
That easy. Yeah.
Okay. Well, thanks again for tuning in. We will see you next week.